No.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about healthy snack ideas for kids. So, I love this topic because it's just so important. This time that we're all at home, then I think it's a great time to be able to teach your kids healthy habits also, especially in times of stress or um, sickness. It's really good to recognize emotional eating. And so this is a great time to really get your kids learning healthy snack options, but also to learn that we eat to fuel our body. And yes, sometimes we eat things that aren't good for us, but learning to recognize the difference between eating because you're bored or because of an emotion or because it's a choice. And so I have a PowerPoint I'm going to pull up just so it's a little bit more visual for us. If anyone would like to unmute themselves and just share their name and how many kids they have and maybe a struggle that they have with healthy eating, I'll let you do that too. So if anyone wants to share or has a question that they want us to cover today, go ahead and do that. All right. And feel free to unmute yourself at any time. We love questions. So today I wanted to talk about healthy snack ideas for kids. I think this is a struggle when kids are home all the time. And so I wanted to just throw out some ideas and also get ideas from you as far as what you like to do to make snack time or healthy eating more fun for kids. And like I said, unmute yourself if you have any questions or want to add anything, to our discussion here. Just a quick introduction. My name is Liz Jensen. I have 6 little kids. You'll be able to hear them, I'm sure. And this time of homeschooling and having the kids home all day, this has been really good practice to teach some healthy habits. I know a lot of times when kids are bored, they want to just bake treats all day. And so that's one thing that I've been really trying to do is to not just allow those habits to creep in. So my kids are, my oldest is 16, my youngest is 6. And so it's been fun, like just to get them involved in cooking and healthy eating and being more mindful of foods that we're eating, especially right now. Before we go into the snack ideas, I just want to cover what I call the high 5. These are the 5 basic habits that I like to teach my kids. Today we're going to focus more on the nutrition, but these are also just good reminders of things to be working on with our kids and for ourselves to keep ourselves healthy right now. So I love that it's a hand because it's a reminder we got to wash our hands, especially right now, right? Lots of hand washing. The first one is getting good sleep, making sure that we are staying on our sleep schedule, even though we don't have school right now. So keeping that bedtime routine, that morning routine. I'm letting my kids sleep in a little bit longer than they normally would for school, but we like to keep the same routine in the morning and making sure that they're getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Kids usually need a little bit more also. The second is drinking water, especially right now, making sure that they're drinking. They recommend every 15 minutes to have a drink of water, just because if you do catch a virus, if you let it sit in your throat, that's when it will develop. If you're drinking water, it will actually flush it down into your stomach, and your um, good your gut health will actually usually kill that virus. So having good gut health is important, and drinking water throughout the day. So making sure that you're not buying sodas and sugary drinks, encouraging your kids to drink water is really important. Number 3 is eating 6 small meals a day, balancing their blood sugar. And I think you're going to really notice a difference in your kids' energy levels not going up and down. Also, their ability to focus on their schoolwork when they're eating more balanced meals every 3 hours. The fourth thing is the mindset, stress management. I think that this is a great time to work on stress management. And usually, what we are doing rubs off on our kids. So if we are stressing out, then our kids pick up on that. If we are looking to for ways to be more grateful and enjoy this time together, it really puts our kids at ease too. So really being mindful of how you're managing your stress, and that rubs off on your kids. But moms out there, make sure that you're getting some time for yourself every day, because if you're always just stuck in the homeschooling routine and entertaining kids and keeping up with that, sometimes that can really add to your stress level. So making sure that you're getting a few minutes a day at least for yourself, a hot bath. I try to go out on a walk every day without my kids, reading a book, making sure that you're doing things to manage your stress. And we have some great webinars on managing your stress, feeling your emotions, processing those. So you can tap into those too. And then the fifth one is movement. I think this is so important. And even on days like today, at least here in Utah, it is snowing outside. And so the kids probably won't be out playing basketball today, but it doesn't mean that they can't go outside if they want to. But also there's lots of things that we can do inside. I know that with this virtual rec center, we're doing lots of exercise classes. YouTube is a great place to find kids exercise classes, yoga, dance videos, things like that. Or you can make it fun in your own house. We like to do obstacle courses right in our house. The kids get pretty creative, and it's important that you're scheduling that movement time, that exercise time. And that's one thing that I've noticed has really helped, is to stick to a structure and a schedule. My kids love that I have a schedule written out, and they check it all the time. Kids like that structure, just like they had at school. And so if you write out your day and include exercise time, we call it recess, and so whether it's out riding their bikes or inside, we do hula hoop contests or jump roping contests, or we turn on Just Dance and we dance. So making sure that you're including time for movement and exercise. So those are my high five. Those are easy things to teach your kids, and I love that you have the visual. And then remember, wash your hands. So, all right, moving on. We talked about small balanced meals every 3 hours. This is a great thing to teach your kids when they get their plate for a mealtime. I like to use smaller plates. It's about the size of a paper plate, but I also have bought a lot of small 9-inch plates that I love to eat off of, because it actually tricks your brain to think that you're eating more if your plate is smaller, because your plate is full. And so looking at this example is a good way to fix a plate for a meal. So for example, making sure that half of your plate is filled with vegetables, fruits, those things that have a lot of vitamins for you. And then a quarter of your plate will be a healthy protein, lean protein, chicken, fish, lean ground beef, lean steak, that type of thing, eggs, cottage cheese, and then a quarter of your plate for healthy carbs. And, that could be I actually count potatoes as a carb, but a whole grain piece of bread or whole grain rice, things like that. So that's just kind of a good visual as you're teaching your kids how much to put on a plate. And it's also a good reminder that you can include some of your kids' favorite things, but they learn how to eat it in moderation. I have a son that loves mac and cheese, and I probably only make it a few times a year for dinner, but learning that if he fills half of his plate with fruits and vegetables, a quarter with like chicken, and then a little bit of mac and cheese, for example, it doesn't have to be his whole meal. So learning that they can enjoy the things that they like, but learning to do it in moderation. So, and please unmute if you have anything to add, or anything that works for your kids as far as getting a variety of foods into their diet, or if you have questions, if your kids struggle with certain foods. We'd love to hear those questions. All right, here comes the science part of our presentation today. It's blood sugar. And so a lot of times we think of blood sugar for diabetics, right? That they have to balance their blood sugar. But actually blood sugar is really important for all of us. And it's a really simple thing to teach our kids, but it's good to understand why it's important to do. And so with our program, our Habits of Health program, we teach how to keep your blood sugar balanced by eating 6 small meals per day. And so basically it would be breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then a small snack in between. And I like to think of a newborn baby. Some of you have babies at home, and they are on an eating schedule of every 2.5 to 3 hours. And that's how our bodies were designed. And so when we can learn to eat smaller, balanced portions, you can see just like on this graph here, it will keep your blood sugar balanced. And the reason we want our blood sugar balanced is because when we have spikes in our blood sugar, let's say that you eat a bagel, or even a fruit smoothie that's full of fruit, you think that's good for you, but it's blended up so that your body doesn't have to work to process the fiber or anything. It's already done for it. It actually spikes your blood sugar because it's almost just like sugar going into your body. So it's important that even if you think that it's a healthy thing that you're eating, think about how much sugar is actually in that. So, let's say that it's a bowl of sugary cereal or a bagel or a Pop-Tart or something like that in the morning, that would spike your blood sugar. And what happens when your blood sugar spikes, your body kind of goes into a panic. It's got to get that blood sugar down, because too high of blood sugar is really dangerous. Too low of blood sugar is really dangerous. And so your body turns on its insulin pump. And what insulin does, it's really important. It actually brings the sugar out of our body and stores it into our fat cells, into our cells. And it stores it as fat if it doesn't need it. If it doesn't need it for energy right then, it will just store it as fat. And so what happens, it's busy pulling all that sugar out of our bloodstream and storing it. Then pretty quickly, you're going to see your blood sugar drop. And what happens when your blood sugar drops? That's when your body kind of goes into a panic of it needs some fast carbs. That's when your energy is going to go down and you're going to start craving fast carbs. Sugar, white bread, that's when you start getting those cravings. If you go too long without eating, or if you eat something high in sugar, you see even in your kids, they get really rambunctious and jumping around, they get lots of energy, and then pretty soon they have that drop and they're craving something to get it back up again. So it kind of goes through that cycle all day long. Whereas the opposite, if you start off your day with healthy foods, getting some protein in the morning to get that balance, and about every 2.5 to 3 hours, you have something balanced, it will keep your blood sugar more balanced. So your energy stays stable. You're not having the hunger, the craving. So that's really important for kids to learn how to keep their energy levels stable so that they can focus better. They're not having, slumps during the day or that super high energy that they don't know what to do with all of that energy. And there's been lots of studies that show the importance of this. The most common study that we read about is the study done at University of Toronto. There were two groups of people. They both ate the exact same food during the day. One group ate them in 3 traditional meals. One group ate the same food split up into smaller 6 meals. And the group that ate the smaller 6 meals per day, they lost more weight, they were less hungry, they even reduced their cholesterol and insulin levels drastically during that study. So just it proved that eating more frequently but smaller portions so that your body can process what you're eating is actually healthy for you. So, all right, moving on to the topic of the day, healthy snack ideas. What do we feed our kids to help them to learn these healthy eating habits, to keep their energy stable and their focus while they're doing schoolwork? I like to teach my kids the difference between proteins and carbs. And so this is a great thing to practice right now, teaching your kids what are proteins. So healthy protein examples would be eggs, Greek yogurt. Now the difference between regular yogurt and Greek yogurt, if you will look at the label next time you're at the store or if you have it in your fridge, regular yogurt is basically just sugar. There's not a lot of protein in there. It's very high in carbs. Whereas if you look at the Greek yogurt, it is a great source of protein. It's much lower in carbs, so it's more balanced with the blood sugar. Low-fat cheese, nut or nut butter, fish, poultry, meat, beans, cottage cheese, proteins, either soy or whey or pea protein, whether it be drinks or things like that. Or, of course, we have portion-controlled meal replacements that are perfectly balanced, so that's an easy snack idea for kids too. Carb examples. So when you're teaching your kids what a carbohydrate is, that is basically any fruit, vegetable, or grain, or sugar. So there are a difference between healthy carbs and unhealthy carbs for sure. But healthy carbs would be examples of fruits or berries, vegetables, low-carb tortillas. So they make great low-carb tortillas that are high in protein. That's a great investment to pay a little bit more, knowing that it's going to keep your kids full longer and be healthier for them. Whole wheat toast, high fiber crackers, granola, steel cut oats, making sure that you're using like whole grain oatmeal instead of instant oatmeal. That is a big difference in your blood sugar. And quinoa, so some of those whole grains. So I would love for anyone that wants to unmute, if you have a question or if you'd like to share, what are some of your kids' favorite snacks before we give some examples? If any brave soul that wants to share with us, what do your kids like to eat? Whether it be healthy or not, we can kind of talk about even unhealthy snack ideas, how to make them healthier.
Well, my kids refuse to eat vegetables, and so I have been finding ways to like sneak them in by like blending them up in a food processor and then mixing them in with whatever they're eating. But I guess I'm having a hard time with just being consistent with making those smaller meals every day. So do you have any tips with that? And
Yes.
sometimes I feel like the smaller meals that I think of that I could give throughout the day are just like, I don't know, it just takes a lot more time to make. So do you have any tips for smaller, easy meals?
Yeah, number one, thank you, Melissa, for unmuting. Sometimes it's scary. So thanks for sharing that. And let's address, let's talk about how do we sneak vegetables into our kids' diets first. And then actually, my next slides are great ideas on how to teach your kids healthy snack options. So before we go into that, I'd love to hear, how do you get your kids to eat vegetables? Let's see, there was a comment, who's that from? Kristen said that her teens love hummus. I thought that would never happen. My younger ones like fruits. So that shows the importance of continuing to introduce foods into their diet. So even if they don't like something as a child, if you always have that around and they keep trying it, usually it takes several times before their taste buds adjust to something. And so if they keep trying hummus, for example, as they grow up, pretty soon their taste buds adjust. And it might be something that they really enjoy as they get older. So continuing to keep those vegetables on the table or accessible so that they can keep trying them. She also says she used herbs and healthy dip. Hello's kids with veggies. Let's see. Cheryl says, find the ones they like. Mine love cherry tomatoes and cucumbers. We don't have a lot of sweets in our house, so I think that makes a difference. So that's a great tip. So even if they only like 1 or 2 vegetables, just have those a lot. And you can also have others that they can try. And pretty soon they'll probably find things that they like. But even if they just like a couple things, just make sure you have that often. And she also says, don't keep sweets in her house. That's one thing that I try to do, is I don't like to have things that I would be tempted to eat. And so, because they're going to eat whatever's there. If there's sweets there, they're naturally going to want those. If there are lots of vegetables around, they're eventually going to try it if they're going to be hungry enough. And I notice that when I pack snacks, like for the park, if I pack vegetables and some treats, they always go for the treats first. If I just bring vegetables, they all eat the vegetables. They all eat the carrots and dip or whatever I bring. So really, I have found that they're going to eat what's there. So any other ideas on how you sneak vegetables in? Yes, go ahead, Chantel.
So I was watching that, I think it's Nanny 911 show, and she said to take the kids to have them pick out the vegetables they want and then go home and have them help prepare it, and that makes them more inclined to want to eat those vegetables too.
I love that you said that. I saw that same episode. Yeah, take your kids to the store, or right now you probably can't take them to the store, but let them look through the grocery store ads or pull up vegetables on your computer and let them pick what kinds of vegetables they want to try. And then let them help chop it, let them help make a salad or cook the vegetables. They're more willing to try it, especially if you brag about that they made it, and they're more likely to try it if they helped to make it and they picked it. So that's a great idea. I also love to sneak vegetables in when I make spaghetti. I love to grate zucchini or carrots or peppers, and I'll just put it in sauces where they can't even see it. Also, I like to sneak zucchini in, especially in the summer when we have lots of zucchini in our garden. You can put them in scrambled eggs. If you have picky eaters, just peel off the outside skin, the green skin, and shred it, and you can put it in pancake batter. It makes them really moist. They won't even know that it's in there if you peel it. Scrambled eggs. We grow the yellow zucchinis, or you can get the yellow squash and grate it and just cook it right in scrambled eggs. It just looks like shredded cheese in there, and I do put some shredded cheese so you can't even tell. We make cauliflower or zucchini pizza crust. They like that because it's covered in the sauce and the cheese. So most of my kids will eat that. In soups, you can blend vegetables up. Like if you're making we love to make like cauliflower soup. It tastes like potato soup. But even if you're making like a creamy broccoli soup or potato soup, blending up the vegetables to make it into a sauce, you can sneak them in that way. So there's lots of creative ways to sneak vegetables in. But Melissa, did you have another thing you wanted to share?
So I just wanted to tell you a funny story. One time
Yeah.
I did blend up some vegetables and put it in some Alfredo sauce. And my daughter, she took each noodle and then wiped it off and then ate the noodle. And then I was like, how can you tell? She was 3 years old. So, anyway.
How funny. Sometimes you kind of have to baby step it. So, for example, when I started for sneaking vegetables in, for example, maybe you're going to do zucchini noodles and you do half zucchini, half regular noodles. So it's half and half, or just kind of gradually increase the vegetables in there. So sometimes you have to be sneaky with different kids. Some kids can be bribed easy. Whoever finishes their vegetables, I'll play Uno with them, or something like that. But the more you have it and the more they see it, the more likely they will try it. And I love the idea that Chantel said, have them help you chop up the vegetables, have them help you choose what they want. That's really helpful. Another thing that I really love to do is I will buy a bunch of vegetables and chop them all up and make a relish tray in my fridge. And you know how the kids are always hungry about 4 o'clock when you're about to make dinner, or while you're making dinner? I just love to put out the veggie tray. We have some cute little parfait cups. You don't have to have fancy cups, but I'll let them put a scoop of either peanut butter or healthy ranch dip, where I just blend 24 ounces of cottage cheese and 1 ranch dip packet in the blender really well. It makes a great ranch dip, healthier, lower fat, just healthier option than the bottled ranch. And they love that. They just put a scoop in their cup and then whatever veggies they want, and they can snack on that before dinner. So even if they fill up on veggies, then it doesn't matter really if they eat what I made for dinner, because at least they got something healthy. So so I love to always have that relish tray in my fridge. When we go somewhere, I love to just throw some veggies in a Ziploc bag and take them with us to snack on, especially like baby carrots. Most of my kids will eat those right up if we're at a ball game or something. But of course, if I have fruit snacks, they're going to go for their fruit snacks. So I try to, if I am going to bring something that I know they'll like better, I don't bring that out until they've eaten the vegetables. So great. Any other ideas on how you get your kids to eat healthy? I know on Pinterest, there's tons of great ideas on making creative foods. I'm not that patient to make animals out of vegetables, but if you are, there's lots of fun ideas to make them look more fun to be able to eat them. Let's see. Yes, I can write down that healthy ranch dip on the Facebook page. So really quick, I'll write it down, but also it's just 24 ounces of cottage cheese. So kind of the bigger thing of cottage cheese and 1 ranch dip packet. And you just blend it in the blender till it's smooth like ranch. And that's all. And it's really good. I take it to any party. People always ask me for my recipe. So that's all it is. And the kids all ask me to make it. They really like that. And I always think, even if you are adding sugar into a healthy snack, that's much better than just eating sugar. So it's much better to add, for example, my kids love apples and peanut butter with a couple little mini marshmallows on it. They love that just as much as cookies. So I'd rather add a couple marshmallows to apples and peanut butter than have them just eat cookies. So even if you have to add something sweet, like a sweeter dip for the fruit, that's much better than just them eating candy. So sometimes you kind of have to baby step into that. And the way that I do my apples and peanut butter, we do these most nights. That's what my kids like for a snack after dinner is I have an apple corer that just takes out the middle of the apple, but you could just slice the apple and put it on the slices. And then I slice them thin so they're just round, and I put either almond butter or peanut butter, and then just like 3 little marshmallows per slice, and they just eat those up. They all want their own. So that's one snack they really like. And sometimes I don't do marshmallows. Sometimes I'll do a little granola on it or just plain also. Another thing they really love is celery and peanut butter with the raisins, ansonolog. We call that ansonolog. Sometimes we'll do that even for breakfast. So finding the things that they do like and just doing that until they get tired of it. So just like Cheryl said, even if there's only a couple vegetables they like, just make sure you always have those vegetables on hand. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have some fun ideas how to make it more simple. Let's see. Here we are. Okay. And I will also put this list in our group that you can print off and go ahead and put on your fridge. And when it's snack time, encourage your kids to choose one thing from each area. So I would encourage to have just kind of a little class, nutrition class with your kids. Teach them what are proteins. Have them go and find a protein in your fridge or in your pantry and go over what those are. Greek yogurt, boiled eggs, low-fat cheese, nuts, could be jerky, any kind of fish, canned fish, fresh fish, jerky, beans, cottage cheese, any other source of protein like soy, whey, pea protein powders or bars. And then if you have the portion controlled Optavia meal replacements, those are a perfect snack also. And then teach them what carbs are. A lot of people just think carbs are bread. So teaching them that carbohydrates, that turns to sugar in our body, and that's what our body uses for energy. And so good carbohydrates can be healthy for you. And so teaching them what good carbohydrates are, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, those are good carbs. And then teach them what unhealthy carbohydrates are. Those would be like, junk food, potato chips, white bread, any sugar, cookies, that type of thing, instant oatmeal versus whole grain. So teaching them what the difference are. And then if you put this list on your fridge, and every time it's time to have a snack, and that's another thing I really like to posture is that we don't just eat because we're bored. We eat 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then we have a snack time in between. And that's a small snack. It's not a big snack. It's, a string cheese and a cutie orange, something small like that. And so when it is snack time and they go to get a snack, teach them to choose a carb and a protein. So even if they're choosing an unhealthy carb, for example, let's say you're going to let them have goldfish crackers or a cookie. That's a carbohydrate. Make sure that they pair it with a protein. And what that will do is it will help them keep their blood sugar a little bit more balanced. So if they were just to eat goldfish crackers, for example, their blood sugar is going to spike really quickly. But if you add a boiled egg with that, that protein helps to bring down the insulin level, helps keep it more balanced. And it also helps them feel satisfied faster and longer, and so that they don't have to eat the whole bag of goldfish crackers. They could have them look at the serving size and take out that amount and put it on a plate instead of eating out of the bag. So that's another thing, is learning portion control. So that's a great tip to look, what's the serving? Okay, let's have 1 serving of that, and then let's have a protein. And so the more you practice this, the more automatic it will be. And I don't think there's anything better for their health than to learn this while they're at home, before they go off to college and they're buying their own groceries. If they can be more mindful of how they're eating, when they're eating, and what combination they're eating. And so when you go to the grocery store, I think protein is the hardest thing to always have on hand. So I always am very mindful of loading up on protein. I'm always getting eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, like those easy things that you can grab quickly. And then carbs are easy, fruits, vegetables, grains. Those are things that most of us usually have. So just making sure that you're mindful of having that balance in your house. All right, here's some ideas. I love this because this is very visual. One fun thing that you could do is have 2 bins in your fridge, and your kids can help you with ideas of what to put in this bin as you talk about what healthy carbs are. So in the carbohydrate bin, maybe you'll cut up some veggies. So cut up some celery, carrots, you could put them in those little snack size baggies, and fruits, popcorn, whole grain crackers, that type of thing, that would go in the carbohydrate bin. In the protein bin, you would have things like boiled eggs, cheese sticks, jerky, that type of thing that they could then grab one from each bin. So these are kind of some examples of what that would look like. I have lots of different pictures. So as you can see up above, she has fruits, vegetables, and then there's some that are already balanced, like the balanced breaks. You can buy those that are already balanced for you. Or, for example, the Optavia Fuelings, they're already balanced for you. And then over on the bottom left, there's different types of cheese, low sodium lunch meat there. You could get some turkey breast. She has boiled eggs there in the bag. You could have little containers of nuts, things like that. And then in the pantry, so this is what it might look like in the pantry if you had a section of carbs and protein, like something that they could grab, that they already have learned what a carbohydrate is, what a protein is. So here's some other carbs. So apples, celery sticks. So kind of finding your kids' favorite veggies. If they love carrots, you do that, or cucumbers. So cut up the veggies that they like and put them in baggies. And then I love the little condiment cups. They make smaller ones and bigger ones. You could cut up berries or put berries in there, or nuts. That's easy, kind of on the go. The kids like them. They're in their own container. Over here on the protein list, she has nuts, some peanut butter already portioned out, the Laughing Cow cheese wedges. Those are easy to put on the celery sticks. There's some cheese sticks in here, so that makes it really simple. And then some of our favorite combinations are celery with peanut butter, tuna, or ranch dip, apples with peanut butter or jerky, strawberries with cottage cheese or nuts, Greek yogurt with granola or fruit, veggies with string cheese or ranch dip, crackers with cheese. Sometimes if you do want to add a few little treats, you could do kind of a trail mix where it has nuts and dried fruit and a few little M&Ms or something. And then a few tips on prepping. So you probably all know when you soak your apples, if you soak them in salt water or lemon juice or Diet Sprite, let them soak in that and then drain it. If you do it in salt water, I always rinse it first so it's not salty, but salt water is usually what I do. I'll soak it in salt water and then I'll rinse it and they don't turn brown, and so that you could put it in baggies. Also berries, rinsing them with vinegar water, that will prevent molding, make them last a lot longer. Also keeping those portion controlled cups, the 2 and the 5 ounce, you can get those at Walmart or on Amazon. And then I talked about our ranch dip recipe. That's just great that they can add a little ranch dip cup and then some veggies and snack on that. So, all right, do we have any questions? Or I'd love to hear some other things that your kids love to eat. One other thing that I'll just touch on is, times like this, kids love to bake, and a lot of times it's a tradition maybe to bake with your kids, but ask yourself if it's serving them. And so not to say that you're never going to bake with them, but baking every day, it's getting them into those bad habits. So if you do bake, maybe think of something healthier that you could bake, or learning how to substitute some healthier ingredients into your baking, or just have it as, we have Fun Friday and we do an activity, and they can choose whether we do like a art project or we bake something. So maybe having a time that you bake something once a week, and it's a choice. It's not a trigger because they're bored or sad. It's a planned activity. One other thing is, I mentioned I don't like to keep sweets in the house because I'll eat them probably if they're in the house. And so not to say that my kids don't ever eat sweets, because they do, but I try to take them out to get ice cream, or we have a planned activity. Okay, Friday, I'm going to get creamies on Friday. And so it's not that they're always there. So not to say that they can't have them. It's just you want to set your home up as a safe environment, that they're learning healthy habits. and they're not always tempted, by junk food. So, all right. I'd love to hear what you guys do with your kids. What works for you, or what are you struggling with that we can help you with?
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Jason.
I just jotted down a couple things I'm going to say really quick because I'm getting called for lunch, and if I don't go soon,
All
I'll
right.
be in. We talked about tips, I guess, to getting kids to eat their vegetables, and there's a few things we do. Usually not incredibly successful, especially with our 6-year-old boy, but one of the things we will do is to serve them more vegetables than we actually expect them to eat. You kind of, I'm sure all the parents out there right now know that kids will try to negotiate, well, what if I just eat 1 bite or 2 bites? And at the end of the meal, when they want the extra, whatever it is, or the treat afterwards, then you negotiate to eat the actual amount of vegetables you wanted them to eat in the first place. Works a little better with vegetables that are less expensive too, so that's worth keeping in mind. A thought I had is to it takes a little more time, but to grow your own vegetables. Okay. That's so I'm talking to Liz right now. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Liz.
I told her when I
Hi.
started talking that I had to be quick because I would be in trouble for not coming down for lunch.
Well, we started that. We started without you.
But
We started.
grow your own vegetables, like I mean, obviously a little more time intensive, but in the long-term outcome, if your family grows a green bean plant, they're probably going to be more excited about growing this thing that they watched grow, which might sort of break the barrier, I guess, to trying those new things that are yucky otherwise. You talked about dips, and that's something we like to do. And then you also talked about the way you cut your apples. When we started the plan, we went out and bought a spiralizer thing for our mixer, which also can slice apples like in coils. And I mean, the kids don't really have troubles eating apples so much, but sometimes if vegetables are just cut in a exciting way, that they might be more like, maybe if you had carrot strings instead of carrot sticks, they might be willing to try the carrot strings cut through the spiralizer or something, the carrot coils, give it some
Make it fun.
name, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I just I mainly wanted to jump on and test out my Zoom skills as I'm going to school at home now, but here I am participating in your discussion a little bit and getting in trouble for not going to lunch. So.
Well, thank you for sharing, Jason. Those are great ideas. Make it fun. And yes, we love to grow a garden, having the kids see where vegetables come from. I think that's really important, and letting them pick fun ways to eat vegetables. And you're right, my kids love to do the spiralizer that get your apple into a spiral. Although I do really love for them to eat the skins, just because there's so much nutrition and fiber in those, but just make sure you're washing them really well too. But yes, start where they're ready. My 6-year-old is the pickiest eater ever. And honestly, the only vegetable that she will eat is seaweed. And she eats a pack of seaweed every day because she will not eat vegetables. And so I have to try to sneak them in. There is a powdered drink, a green drink that I'll sneak into her. I'll flavor a drink with some flavored drink powder and put that in. And I have to be sneaky about how I can get some vegetables in her, because I understand some kids are way pickier than others. And so that's why it's important to try to make it fun, but just be consistent. And I like how Jason said, like, even if you just have a two bite rule where they have to eat 2 bites, and the more the more times that they try it, their taste buds adjust. So the more, just don't give up is what I'm saying. And same thing with all of us. Even if we haven't been perfect over this past couple weeks of being at home, and we've all probably had our emotions go up and down and some emotional eating or whatever you're going through, my biggest tip will be just don't give up. Just keep going. Give yourself grace. Just keep going. And so same thing with our kids. It's a great time to get to spend a little bit more time teaching them about nutrition and practicing that. And it's going to help you to make good choices if you're being an example to your kids. And that's another big one is your kids are more likely to do what they see you do. And there was a study actually that showed that kids are more likely to do what the father does. So if you can encourage husbands to be eating vegetables, studies show that kids are more likely to eat vegetables if their dad eats vegetables. So, but definitely the mom is important too in this role, living by example and finding fun ways. Another fun snack my kids love is lettuce wraps. I'll get lettuce. They love for me to wrap a piece of lunch meat in lettuce more than a sandwich, and they all love that. So that's how they like to eat their lettuce. And we can do that with tacos, chicken, like lettuce wraps, things like that. So just getting creative and teaching new ways to try different things. So that would kind of go into a whole nother webinar of healthy eating tips, meal planning, things like that. But as far as snacks go, it's something that we can be intentional about, teaching them healthy snacks, being mindful about what snacks we're bringing into our home, and kind of planning ahead a little bit to make it simple for them. So I just thank everyone for hopping on today. I did record this. Someone asked if I recorded it. I will post the recording. And my homework for all of you will be to print off the healthy carb and healthy protein list and put it on your fridge and talk to your kids about what healthy options are and encourage them to pick one from each side every time they have a snack. So every time in between breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if they have a small snack, having them become mindful about what they're choosing and learning to pair it with something else. And like I said, even if it's not a healthy option for their carb, make sure that they're choosing a healthy protein. Getting some more protein into our kids' diets are going to help them for their blood sugars to stay more balanced and for them to not be craving the sweets as often. So just wanted to share that with you, and I would love to see comments in our group of what you guys are doing with your kids. And I just want to wish you luck and remind you, don't give up, just keep trying. So you guys are great. Thanks for